up, YouTube? It's your girl Mo Lachelle. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to my fellow social workers. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about what to do before you take your exam and what to do after you take your exam if you fail it. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get right into the video. You will see me on this clipboard because I wrote down a few bullet points, and my first bullet point is while you are in grad school, study. I know that it is very hard to focus on studying for your licensure exam while you're in grad school, but learning from my experience of not doing this, I would say at least take out the time to do practice tests. At least one practice test a week or one over and over again. Just keep doing practice tests and going over those answers and looking at the ones that you got wrong so that you can see what your weak spots are, and just so that you can get a feel for what the test is like. Just if you look over it once a week, just kind of have it sitting in your head while you're in grad school, because you don't want to just jam pack it all right before the test. You should have knowledge of how the test is, what it looks like, and what it's gonna be like before you graduate. Okay. The next thing that I want to say, and this is really the last thing that I'm going to say as far as advice about taking it, I want to say take it right after you graduate. Do not wait, y'all. I cannot stress this enough. I waited to take my exam. I graduated May 2019. I did not take the exam until November 2019. It is very important to just go ahead and take the exam. Okay, so the reason that I say take the exam right after you graduate is because, for one, you are still in the mind frame to study. You are still in the school, you still have that school mindset. So you have the mind to study, you have the discipline to study, you are just more mentally capable of studying and thinking about tests. Now imagine me when I took my test in November after I graduated in May, and all this time is going by that I'm not in school and I don't have any requirements to study and I don't have to do anything academic but study for my exam. I am in control of when I study, when I feel like studying, and once I'm out of school, my mind is not focused on school. Okay. You're gonna feel like you're in school when you're studying and when you're trying to get prepared for that licensure exam. So it's very important to just do it while you're already in that mind frame, y'all. It will be so much easier. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about, okay, is if you fail your exam. I failed my exam. I took my exam, like I said, in November, which was a couple of months after I graduated. I was supposed to take my exam in like June. I kept pushing the date back. Don't push the date back. Just take it, okay? Because once you push it back one time, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to push it back so that I can have more time to study, and then you're going to keep procrastinating. Just take the test. Even if you fail it, just take it. Get a feel for it. See what it's like. See what's on there. Take it. Do not push the date back, okay? Don't be like me. I am literally telling you guys from my mistakes. The next thing, if you fail that exam, give yourself a short break, a very short break, like say for instance 2 weeks, not a whole month, maybe 2 weeks, to stop studying and kind of just give yourself a break, because I'm telling you guys, that test and studying for that test will consume your life, and it will consume your brain, and it will really put a strain on you mentally. So you definitely want that relief of getting it over, even if you fail it, and then coming back to it a couple of weeks later, so that you kind of had a break from it and you got it out of your brain for a little while. So yeah, take a short break and then begin to study again. Go ahead and start studying again. Do not make the mistake that I made, because I stopped studying. I have still not taken my exam for the second time. I will go ahead and let you guys know that now I'm not perfect. I'm literally telling you guys my advice from my mistakes. So after I took my test in November, it is now April. Matter of fact, it's about to be May, and I have not taken my exam again. I only failed my exam by 2 points, so I was eligible to appeal and retake it before the 90-day span was up, but I didn't do that. And I didn't do that, and I could have. So then I was up for February without me appealing. My time to take the test again was in February. I did not take it. I have not been studying. It's just like I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know that I got very discouraged after I failed my exam, and I just didn't want anything to do with it. I got discouraged about social work in general because it was like I felt like I had taken all these years and got all these loans, did all these classes, took all these tests, and just did all of this stuff just so that I could have a dream job and a job that I really like and all of that. And then I really got a reality check after I graduated, and I did not take my exam and I failed it, that lots of people want you to have that exam before they will hire you. They want you to pass that exam before they will hire you. So that definitely got my hopes down. I just didn't want anything to do with it. I didn't want anything to do with social work in general because I just felt like I did all this work and now my qualifications are dependent on a test. So don't have that mindset. Once you fail it, say, hey, we all fail, but we learn from our mistakes. Now I know how the test is, the process. I know what's mostly on it, what I need to focus on, what my weak areas are, and get back on it. Okay, so my next thing is, I already said to retake it as soon as you can. Retake that test as soon as you can. Do not wait. And the next thing that I have is focus on your weak areas. When I study for the test, I focus mostly on the DSM, and I really regret that because I had like 2 DSM questions, so I learned all these diagnoses and all of these things about the DSM, and most of my test was on community-based practice, micro, meso, macro, those types of things, community-based. And it makes sense because social work is centered around community-based practice, and you only go into the DSM if that is what your area of focus is. So think about social work as a whole when you are studying for that test, and focus on the areas that every social worker should know, not the areas that are just like this, if I choose this career path, this is what I will need to know. Focus less on those areas and more on those areas of social work in general, such as community or community-based practice. Which is one of my weak areas that I did not focus on a lot. And I did, and being in social work groups and stuff, I've realized that most people say that there was not a lot of DSM, there was not a lot of medication questions, there was a lot of community-based practice questions. So make sure that you focus a lot of your studying time on that, but not all of it, okay? Another thing is to get a study group. Get together a group of people that you know has to take the exam just like you, people that maybe have failed the exam before. Get together with them, figure out what they feel like their mistakes were. You give them your advice on what you think your mistakes were. Get with people that have passed the exam and maybe ask them to help you study. Maybe ask them some advice on taking the exam. Get an accountability group. This is what I'm trying to organize right now because I know for me it's not a requirement for me to study, so I will keep procrastinating and I will never take my exam. So get you an accountability group. That way when you say I'm going to study on Monday, your group can say, hey, did you study on Monday? You have somebody to hold you accountable for that. Yes, you need that. You need that. Another thing is, if you are on Facebook, go and look up LMSW exam groups, social work groups, stuff like that. There are exam groups of people who have passed their test, people who have failed it 5 times. There are groups that will have those people in there, people who have materials that they will email you, that they will be able to send you, people that are just willing to help. Like me not passing it was mostly about me not having the discipline to study like I needed to, but people will help you. So put yourself out there, find those groups of people, find people who are just like you. The next thing that I have is organize. Oh my God, I cannot stress this enough. Y'all, Imagine everything that you have been taught during your time of taking social work classes. You will have all of these materials. They have therapist development center. They have just so many materials, things to help you study, and it's just overwhelming because you're like, what do I study? Where do I study? Like, where do I begin? You know, you have to figure out what you're gonna do, what materials you will use, when you will study, how you will study, who you will study with, how long you will study, when is your goal to take your exam, how many times a week you will study. Organize these things. Organize the materials that you want to study first. Organize what you will study on Monday, what you will study on Sunday. Organize, organize, organize. I cannot stress that enough, okay? And last but not least, I have learned how to minimize anxiety. Figure out ways to help your anxiety. If you are one of those people that have test anxiety, and even if you're not, I don't have test anxiety, but I kind of did have a little bit of anxiety when I first started my test. But be aware that your test is, I think it was 4 hours. That is a lot of time to answer 170 questions. You have time, so just learn to relax. Learn coping mechanisms to help you get through your anxiety. Whenever that anxiety comes on, you will know what to do in order to nip it in the bud, dead it, okay? So research ways of how to minimize your anxiety, and don't just research it, practice it. Do practice tests. Time yourself. Make yourself feel like this is exactly what this test will feel like. Don't just take practice tests. Time yourself. Take a 170 questions practice test and time yourself for the amount of time that you will be timed when you actually take your exam. And the last thing that I'm going to say is that I once read, I think I watched someone on YouTube who talked about sitting and taking your exam before your actual exam. You don't want your first time taking the exam to be the first time that you've ever had to sit down and answer 170 questions in 4 hours or 3 hours or however many hours it is. I can't remember. But you don't want it to be your first time, so you definitely need to practice. Get yourself in that mode and show yourself how it will feel, even if you have to do that several times so that you can learn how to brace yourself, how much time to spend on certain questions, how much time to give to this, how much time to give to that, okay? So that is my last thing that I will discuss in this video. If you need more advice, definitely go down in the comments and you can ask me questions and I will make another video. And also, I am about to begin studying for my exam again, so wish me luck, please. Pray for me that I will pass it this time. But this time I am trying to organize, get everything organized and figure out exactly how I'm going to study for this exam. And I am thinking about doing a YouTube series on like the things that I am learning and kind of just help people, the things that help me. I'm the type that likes to break things down, so if you guys are interested, I can try to come up with a YouTube series on studying for the licensure exam. We can study together, all right? So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe and click on that post notifications bell, all right? So you guys already know what I do on my channel, and if you don't, it's time to go. Peace. Period.